Grief can be hard. It can be really hard. And I think it's important to be honest about our emotions. We've had a tough week here. I'd like to share that with you today. Life can be quite the bending road. Sometimes it's nice and gentle, and sometimes it's a bit scary. The truth is that we will all experience a difficult bend in our road at some point. But it's also true that God will see us through. Let's travel this bending road together and help each other in our journey. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to catch other videos along the way. Welcome back to the Bending Road. Glad you could join me today. Yeah, it's been a hard week for us here. We had to make that really tough decision about our dog, and we had our dog put down. It would be last night. When you see this on Wednesday, or when you see this on Friday, it would have been on Wednesday. Wow, so hard. You know, I'm one who says, you know, that we need to remember that they're just dogs, and when we, you know, are tempted to spend thousands of dollars on surgeries and whatnot, I just don't think that's for me. Other people do, and that's fine. I'm not judging that, but for me, that's not the way to go. But boy, when it comes to the end of life, that's really, really hard. I've always said that the puppy days were hard, but then the end of life days are hard. Love the in-between times, right? Yeah, it was a hard day. When we got married, when Dave and I got married 23 years ago now, we agreed no more kids, no more pets. We were at that age where starting over with a family didn't make any sense. We had 4 wonderful children, and we just, you know, we didn't need that anymore. And when the dog that I had at the time, when her life was over, his life was over, we weren't going to do that again. But, you know, about 10 years later, it was interesting. Our last child had graduated high school. We had moved away and to a new church. And I just, you know, just got this itch, and he did too. And so we just on a whim, we stopped off at the dog shelter and went in and looked, and we found Bella. And Bella was just 2 months old. She was just shivering in the back corner, so afraid. And I went in and picked her up, and I brought her out and was playing with her and was holding her, and Dave played with her a bit, and then he said, well, I want to go back over and see this other one, because it was an older dog who had been abandoned. I think its owner went to jail or something, and he says, you know, I want to check this one out again. Well, that one had snapped at me and growled at me, didn't like me. So I figured, you know, enough of that. But I took Bella down to the other end. Dave was talking to this other little one, and Bella ran down the aisle and right to Dave, jumped right up on Dave. And I said, I really think she's chosen you. I think she's chosen us. And so we brought her home. It was a few weeks later, we brought her home. And we have a picture of, we had to wait for her to get fixed. So we used to go up to the shelter, and we would go walk her in the snow. And it was just really special. She was just such a sweetheart, just a sweet little thing. And we had agreed that was that, you know, fell in love with Bella. And Bella really connected with me. I mean, we just really bonded. And she went to Dave if she needed to go out and go potty, but she came to me for that love and affection and whatnot. Interestingly, 1 year later, we went back to that dog shelter just to check things out, and we found little Fritzy. Fritzy was a miniature poodle, and we were told that Fritzy was just a couple of years old, but the vet said no, this dog's probably 5 or 6 years old, so much older than we anticipated. We lost Fritzy a year ago, last November. We had to have him put to sleep. It was probably cancer or something. He went downhill really fast. But Bella began to struggle. It was about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Started to struggle with her back legs. It was probably Lyme disease. Um, it was just hard to watch, and she went downhill since then. She struggled with a lot of things over her life. She had seizures, we think, due to Bravecta, flea control. She had digestive issues, very, very fussy stomach. And she had these skin issues every year when it got hot, and so a lot of those kinds of things that made her uncomfortable. But when her back legs started to go and she couldn't walk, it was time. It was time. But death is hard, but it's a part of life, right? We all die. And it's interesting. It struck me the other night last night when we told our youngest granddaughter and our daughter and family that Bella had died. Dave said that we lost Bella. And I thought, for a 5-year-old, that might mean, well, you go out and find her. Does she know what that means? Well, we determined that she did, but we use terms like lost, and passed away. We rarely say died or dead. We don't use those terms, but that's part of life. Happens to us all. We know that wasn't part of God's original plan. But sin brought on death to humanity. And maybe that's why it's so hard, because it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's harder on those of us who are left behind than it is for those who go on to be with God. But yeah, it's hard. Grief is hard. I've talked a lot about that in previous episodes. Early on, when I first started this channel, I introduced my books. I have 4 books, and they all deal with death. The first one was Happy Birthday, Daddy, and that's about how do we celebrate the birthdays of our loved ones after they pass away, after they have died. And then Daddy, Can We Talk? I think that was my favorite to write. And sometimes we just feel like we need to talk to our loved ones after they're gone. We crave that conversation. How do we do that? And then I wrote Happy Birthday, Sweetheart, which is really a knockoff of Happy Birthday, Daddy, but it deals with how we deal with grieving the loss of our children. Which just seems so unnatural, just not right. And then I wrote Merry Christmas, Daddy, and the loss of a loved one during the holidays, and how do we deal with that. In addition to those, I did one of my Friday random ramblings was called Live Today. Today is the most important day. Maybe it's the only day we have left. So it's an important day to live. And then the experience of death. What was your first experience of death, and how do you deal with it? And did you deal with it in a way you expected or not? How hard was that for you? I did a one on 8 minutes. If you only had 8 minutes left, how would you let people know that you loved them? Would they know? Why don't we tell them now instead of waiting? Jesus talked about death. In John, he says, and we know this, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives believing in me will not die. Do you believe this? He asks. Do you believe this? You need to believe that. He is the resurrection and the life. We don't have to fear death. As unnatural as it is, because it wasn't what was intended, it happens to all of us. So we can be a bit afraid of that, but we don't need to, because in Christ we live forever. And then in Romans it says, if we live for the Lord, and if we die for the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. For this reason, Christ died and returned to life, so that he might be the Lord of both the dead and the living. In Philippians it says, for me to live is Christ, to die is to gain. And then in Psalm, we know this, Psalm 23, verse 4, even though I walk through the darkest valley, or the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. These are important verses because they talk about the reality of death, but that we don't need to fear either the process of death or dying. I've often said, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid of actually being dead. I believe I'll be with God. And so I don't fear that. I have that gift of eternal life through Christ. The process of death, not really excited about that. We don't know how that's going to happen. And I think that's what most of us are a little uneasy about. We're a little afraid of is exactly how that's going to happen. I hear of people who just go to sleep and never wake up. Oh, how blessed, But then there are those who struggle for a long time with illness and then die a painful death. That's not how any of us want to go. I had a conversation today, actually this morning, before recording this, about, do all dogs go to heaven? Are we going to see our pets in heaven? Well, the truth is, I don't know. First of all, the Bible is not specific about that. And second of all, I haven't been there. So I don't know. But I have this vision. I kind of had this vision yesterday. I always thought that my dad would have just loved Bella. He loved dogs. And Bella was just really a sweetheart. And I think they would have gotten along just fantastic. But my dad didn't get to meet Bella. But I imagined that as Bella entered heaven, my dad was there to greet her. Okay, I'm sorry, trying not to be emotional here. I don't know that that's true. Does it kind of make my heart happy to imagine? Yeah. Is there anything wrong with imagining? No, there's not. But what I do believe is, it talks about the lion lying down with the lamb, and it talks about heaven being just a beautiful place. And one of the beautiful parts of God's creation are the animals. He made the animals first, the birds of the air and the fish of the sea and the animals that walk along the ground. He made them first. So if creation is going to be renewed, if creation is going to be reset to what it's supposed to be, what God originally intended, why wouldn't the animals be there? And maybe instead of pet dogs, we'll have like pet elephants or something, or pet tigers, or I don't know. Do dogs actually go to heaven, or will there just be new dogs? I don't know. I have no idea what happens to the heart of the dog or cat or whatever when they die. I don't know that. People talk about the Rainbow Bridge. I don't even know what that means. It must come from something. I don't know. That's the honest truth. But I like to imagine that our pets will be in a safe and happy place. Here's the key today. Okay, I've rambled on. But here's the key today. We know that death is hard. Harder for the living because of that separation. That's what we miss. We miss that part, that one that was part of our lives. That separation is hard. We no longer can have that physical touch or have that hug. So we need to live well. We need to live well. We need to love well. We need to serve well. We need to care well. I am thankful for the opportunity that we had to rescue both Bella and Fritzy from the dog shelter and give them a good home and love them well. That doesn't mean somebody else couldn't have come in and cared for them well, but we were given that opportunity and that privilege to do that. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the lessons that they both taught me. I'm thankful for the hard times that they helped me get through. So we need to live well. We need to love well. Need to live lives of no regrets. Live lives of no regrets. I know people who have lost loved ones, and there was some animosity there. There was some arguments that were never settled. There was some unfinished business, and they live with regrets after they lost their loved one. Don't let that happen. You have time right now. There's always time today to start the process to make things right. And you know, we can do that, and if the other person doesn't reciprocate, at least we've done what we can do. That's what's important. Do that and do it well. Do it soon. We also need to live so that we are prepared to die, so that we're prepared for death. Our death or maybe someone else's. I don't know if dogs go to heaven, but I do know that people do. And I know that there are some people who don't. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. Jesus says, I'm the only way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. We need to have that relationship with Jesus Christ so that we can be in heaven with him someday. Who else is going to be there? What it will look like, how it will work, I don't know. But don't miss that opportunity. The day will come when it's too late. Have you made that commitment to Christ? Have you accepted the free gift of grace and life that he offers? If not, today is the day. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. I'm going to put some links to the other videos in the comments section. If you have not watched those, I would encourage you to watch those. If you have questions, comments, if you need prayer, if you're grieving today, if you're experiencing that pain, let me know that. I would love to pray for you. And if you don't know that your future, your eternity is secure in heaven with Christ, let me know that. I want to pray for you. I want to pray with you. And all you have to do is say, Lord, I know that I'm a sinner, and I know the only way to live eternally in glory with you is to accept you now. And be honest. Maybe you don't know what that means down the road. It's okay. It's okay. You can sort that out. But accept that free gift of forgiveness today. I pray that you have a good week. I pray that if you are in a period of grieving these days, I pray that your heart finds healing and finds peace. And I will see you next week along the bending road. It was great to have you join me today along this bending road. You can connect with me on social media or on my website at bendingroad.weebly.com. I would love to pray for you as you navigate the bends in your road. Remember, when you see the bend in your road, do not be afraid. Take the hand of God and keep walking. You are not alone.